Okay, so I decided to take a different route than everyone else did for floor 117. And after looking around and seeing what everyone else was playing, they were playing Tamarin, Kitty Clarissa, Roz, and Landy. Landy because of the exposed weakness on the first floor, and because you cannot use non attack skills on the second floor. So she is a really good Bloodstone holder, which means that she can double as your DPS as well as your healer. And the core mechanic of the fight, after you get past the first floor, is to make sure that Vivian never has any buffs whatsoever on her team. And people were using Kitty Clarissa to go through this first phase here that you see with a Narcissist Mage, because he has a short enrage timer here. I think you have like 6 turns to kill him before he gets this permanent buff that makes it so that when he dies, he deals a ton of splash damage to your entire team, which will basically cripple you and almost guarantee that you're going to lose right away on the next floor. So everybody's using Kitty Clarissa to bypass that, and then using Tamarin, idle mode to get the attack buff and go into the second phase and set it all up and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I wasn't feeling it after a couple of runs, because Kitty Clarissa and Tamarin are effectively just useless bodies on the second floor. Like, they're great at clearing the first floor easily, but Vivian is so much harder when you have to use them, because Tamarin can only S1. She has no other real game impact. She's basically almost a dead turn that heals like a small little amount of HP. So after talking with my guildmates about it, we were talking about other potential strippers. And one of my guildmates, Bakujutsu, suggested Charles. Because since Vivian will always have buffs on the second floor, he will constantly be proccing Smash and therefore be stripping her buffs. Also, she only attacks AoE, which means that if you use Elberus Ritual Sword, you're going to just get a ton of Smash procs. So with that strategy, we were just like, oh, okay, so Charles is literally amazing on this floor, and no one is even bothering to play him. And Tamarin was useless, and I have a second Bloodstone, and I thought about it. Bomb Model Kana is my healer on my expedition team, my green expedition team. And that same logic should apply here, because everyone's green on this floor. So if you just use Bomb Model Kana along with the Landy, you don't need a Soul Weaver. If you're just playing 2 Bloodstone Rangers, you do not need a Soul Weaver on this floor, because the Soul Weaver honestly doesn't do anything, and having another DPS lets you clear through the first floor anyway. So that was how we arrived at this solution of a team, and it basically worked first try. This is actually the first attempt with this team, and it worked beautifully, as you guys can see from this run. You don't need to attack any of the ads on this level. You literally just need to go full face. If you guys, by the way, do not have 2 Bloodstones, I'm sure that there are other artifacts that you can use that generate healing. You can put the Bloodstone on whichever character's faster between Kana and Landy, and then just have the other one use the artifact that heals like highest health. Roz is also on, I believe, Rise of a Monarch, which also gives you some sustain. But yeah, you don't really need, again, you don't need a Soul Weaver at all on this floor. Charles just does so much work on this floor. He doesn't even really have any damage stats on him, by the way. He has like 50% crit chance, and like very little attack. He has like maybe like 160 crit damage. So yeah, this is just a base damage Charles for the most part. He just does tons of work. Just the strips, the damage, the fact that you can give attack down to help save your team and mitigate the damage, because otherwise, most of your characters are basically squishy anyway. And then he also gives your team the attack and defense buffs with the S3. So yeah, you just have the total package. You have 2 speed buffs here. You have defense buffs. You have attack buffs. You have 2 healers. You should basically just never not have buffs on this team. It's awesome. So yeah, now we go into the second phase. So Vivian starts here with S3. And Charles being blind here is rough. Whenever he's blinded, I do not ever use the manual smash. I just let the auto one go off. And if it strips, great. If not, no big deal. You want to use that guaranteed S2 for when you need the strip for sure. And then we just put up, I believe, the defense buff here. No. Okay, S1 for Roz to actually strip away the buff on Vivian. Landy, you just S3 every time it's up for the speed push, or the CR push and the speed buff. Other thing that's really important to note, and you'll notice it when we come back to this. Yeah, here you can see it. We do the guaranteed smash. But bomb model Kana's S3 is actually also a strip. It's really, really important to note. It is a strip, so it doubles as another way to get rid of Vivian's buffs. On top of the fact that it gives her a huge dual attack chance when it's off cooldown, and it gives her the speed buff for the whole team. Yeah, when you don't need buffs, you just throw up Charles S3 for more buffs of your own. Actually, when you don't need to get rid of their buffs, I should say. As long as Vivian has no buffs and you have a ton of buffs, it's really, really hard to die on this floor. The other thing that's really sweet here is when you proc Elber's Ritual Sword, you're just getting a ton of free souls. So like you never feel like you're soul starved on this team, which is awesome. Stun there is kind of unfortunate, but again, we have a bunch of buffs. She doesn't really have any buffs of her own, so we're not really taking any damage, so no big deal. Yep, see. Followed by smash. Get rid of the buff. I could have S2'd there, and honestly, it probably was correct in retrospect to do it. I think I just saved it because Vivian's S3 was coming up here, so she's going to have buffs no matter what. If you have an excess of souls, by the way, you should always soul burn bomb model Kana, simply because it gives you a 3-turn speed buff instead of a 2-turn, which means that you will always have speed buff up unless Vivian gets rid of it. Yeah, we're just soul burn. Just go into it whenever you have the chance. So here comes S3 from Vivian again. And Charles has basically got the S2 ready to go on deck to get rid of it immediately. Unfortunate no Elbrus there. S2. Boom. Takes them right off. Completely just shuts down the whole mechanic. And then we just keep up the aggression. Kana is just so good here because she's fast, again, has all those buffs, and like that extra dual attack chance, she has such a high chance to dual attack, which so if she's holding your bloodstone, you're just gonna heal a ton of health. Yeah, my Landy is still my PvP Landy. She has not changed in any way, so she's still a counter Landy at the end of the day. Yep, S1. Nice dual attack there. No smash, unfortunately. S1 to try and get rid of it, because as long as Vivian has no buff, she's not scary at all. So now we're going to soul burn to get the 3-turn speed up rather than the 2-turn. Yeah, I decided to hold it because we're already going to be at 10 souls here for Roz, and we don't really need another speed buff right this second. Just playing it slow and steady. Yeah. More buffs. More buffs. Always more buffs. So now we're at the part with 40% where she spawns another carbuncle. So now there's going to be twice as many buffs flying. Defense buff, so that way if once we start to cycle back around when the carbuncles give buffs, if I can't strip them for whatever reason, we just have the defense here. And you can see as everyone's speed buff is starting to wind down, we're going to have our S3 back up because we soul burned it. Finally get a defense break for the first time in a minute. Again, we're trying to save that smash for whenever the carbuncles go nuts. Unfortunate, got Elbrus, but we got stunned. Got Elbrus again, but we got stunned. Soul burn again, just so we can keep up our speed buff 24/7. That's the nice thing about Kana plus Landy comp. You just always have speed buff. You're just zooming. At this point, I'm confident I can win, so I just go for it. You can see, like, I had a point in this fight where I was like 40 to 50% health on everybody, but because of how fast I am and having 2 bloodstones, it's just very difficult for my opponent here, Vivian, to beat me. So yeah, this is a guaranteed smash. We miss on because of the blind debuff, but it's okay. Use Ra's S1 to potentially strip, fail there. S3 again to have Charles take over, or I should say overtake Vivian, because he'll have the speed buff and also the small CR push. So he should outspeed her. You can see that he's starting to slowly jump up. Fortunate for us there that she did not go for S2. She went for S1. Elbrus coming into play. There's the strip. And at this point, you know you've won. Like, you're at 3, she's at 3%, has no buffs, so she's in no danger to me at all. Yeah, Charles definitely MVP of this fight. You can still do this fight even without bomb model Kana. Like, it's preferred. But you could theoretically do this still with Tamarin. It just would take a lot longer. Yep, and Roz has the kill shot. Boom, easy. Like I said, pretty much one try with Charles on the team. All right, now let's look at the stats real fast. So Charles is the most interesting one here, as all the out of all the characters that are geared. So he's at 260 speed with 67 effectiveness. You could probably go higher. You might not need to be that fast. Decent bulk on Elbrus Ritual Sword. My Landy is my PvP Landy. It is just a standard counter Landy. 170 speed, 3200 attack, 1200 defense, 15k HP, 250 crit damage. That's literally pretty much the standard. Raz, I feel like I'm constantly changing my Raz's gear, so 240 speed. As long as he's over 85 effectiveness and he's got decent speed and bulk and he's on Rise of a Monarch, you're fine. You could probably use Arias if you do not have Rise. It's just we're trying to have as much as possible. And my bomb model Kana, this is literally how I use her for Expedition. Just on Bloodstone, 224 speed, 250 crit damage, and only like 85% hit chance. So that's it.